of the most iconic voices in golf are back to save the day and ready to entertain in their newly weekly video podcast. Kostis and McCord, Off Their Rockers.
Yes, it is. You found it. Kostis and McCord, Off Their Rockers. Our first 2024 edition. Yes, we're cold. We are in Arizona, but it's freezing out here. Peter Kostis, Gary McCord, we're here today. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, but number one on the list right now is to say congrats to these guys and thanks to our viewers for getting us over the top with 20,000 subscribers. We really appreciate the help. Remember to share it with your friends, like, subscribe, and we do really appreciate that, and so do our sponsors.
Swing U and the Swing U app, the best app in golf. Go to swingu.com and use promo code ROCKERS2024 to get 40% off your first year of Swing U Plus or Pro. Foresight Sports and their amazing launch monitors. The Quad Pro is #1 on the PGA Tour and their incredible simulators. Peter's got one at his home and it is awesome. Lab Golf and their tour-winning Lab putters. Grayson Murray just won the 2024 Sony in Hawaii with the Lab Golf Link 1. For more information, go to labgolf.com. And Bono's Barbecue. With the smoked meats, sauces, and amazing franchise opportunities, go to bonosbarbecue.com/franchise.
Today, let's get into a little topic here that's hot on the plate, guys. Tiger Woods, Nike, they're synonymous. They've been together for 20-something years. Just announced they're done. What's going to happen? What do you think? And Gary, let's start with you. You've got contracts. You ever get offered anything in the range of?
Yeah, $660 million. So it's something that, what's Tiger going to? Oh man, I got screwed. No, man, you made $660 million. Good for you. And he's the guy. If I had any money as a company, he's the only guy in the tour I would put a lot of money into. But is this the case of Nike pulling away sponsorship-wise in golf? Is that the deal? Are they looking at the big picture of the fracture now between LIV and the tour, and a lot of players going that way that they have? That way, I was pointing over there. And
Don't block Peter.
Players going this way, and their dollar's not worth it anymore. I don't know, but I'm seeing it. I think they're just kind of backing off golf, and looks like a lot of sponsors that are on the PGA Tour that now take a look at the product and the fractionalization of that product, and are they going to get their money's worth with the ratings and everything else being as bad as they are?
Okay, I think this whole scenario starts and ends with Tiger. It started with Tiger back in '96 when he came on the scene, and arguably at the time was probably the most visible new young athlete in the world. He became one of those superstar athletes, like a Michael Jordan or Messi or whomever. And as a consequence, golf tried to cease being a niche sport and tried to become a mainstream sport. Wasn't gonna happen, didn't happen, they tried. He brought a lot of money into the game. The PGA Tour basically strong-armed its sponsors, saying if you want to be part of the Tiger story, you got to pay more. Purses are going up, blah, blah, blah. So everything started with Tiger. Now his career is winding down. It's going to be over with in a couple of years, and however you want to describe that. Nike started the process of withdrawing from golf several years ago when they got out of balls and clubs, because they saw that they weren't making money, that golf was going to remain a niche sport, not a mainstream sport. And I think you're going to see more sponsors pulling back now. Tiger's going to do just fine. Tiger has signed with TaylorMade. TaylorMade, as I understand it, has an IPO coming up. They're going to go public, much like Acushnet did. And Tiger's going to be part of that IPO. So you can rest assured he will extract his pound of flesh.
He's fine. He's fine.
He's good. He'll do just fine.
Honestly,
and
he's good.
If he's going to wear any clothing, I suspect it's going to be Adidas or Adidas, however you want to pronounce it. But this whole sponsorship thing started with Tiger, it's going to end with Tiger, and probably the Live PGA Tour merger is going to expedite things because people are going to realize that there's no more tournaments except not even the majors right now where you're going to see all the best players in the world playing. So now everybody's going to say, well, why should I be paying this much money to sponsor an event that wasn't in the cards when I signed up?
We're hearing that a lot right now. And my question is, I think it was good for Tiger. As you said, he made over $600 million. But what did Nike get out of the equation? You guys know, we know as golfers and you watching, I don't think Nike has really ever became a golf brand. The equipment, I mean, even the apparel, where it had like a little niche area, but I don't think it ever got fully in there. And now the word is that they are pulling out, they've licensed the swoosh to their Canadian distributor who's bringing it out. Some other friends who are teaching professionals, they're waiting to hear what they're gonna do. And I think now where they were getting maybe paid a little bit before, they might get free clothes. It's a big sea change for Nike to say, hey, because Tiger's not relevant, we're pulling out of golf.
Tiger was the best thing to happen to golf for over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Nike's been in the golf business since around 2000 when they started to associate with Tiger. What's the best selling golf shoe that Nike has? Michael Jordan's.
Michael Jordan.
The Jordan,
Yeah.
the Air Jordan brand is still the strongest in golf.
Yeah.
Golf is not going to ever become mainstream like Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
So it's a smart business decision, in my opinion, from Nike. And you're going to see a lot more stress, I think, on the PGA Tour going forward, trying to maintain this price level of events simply and solely to compete against Live, and the sponsors not getting all the players they want to get. I think this is going to be a come to Jesus meeting.
It feels like with Jon Rahm, as you guys discussed, with Jon Rahm going over to Live, there's pressure to get something done. Do you guys have a instinct for what's going to happen in the future, and are we going to be able to come together in golf?
Well, I think we have to. We haven't got the product to drive eyeballs to televisions for golf. Tiger drove people to golf. Not in masses, but in eyeballs. The numbers would always go up. We were going to CBS. The numbers would always go up when Tiger was on the air. That's why if Tiger wasn't even in the contest, in the picture on Saturdays, we'd show him all the time because people want to tune in to see how Tiger's doing. He's 8 over par and the leader's 27 under, but we're showing Tiger hit shots. I don't blame them. They're trying to do that. So
You got to remind me what tournament that was where he was 8 over and
Well-
the leader was 27 under.
you remember when he hurt himself at what was it, Carnoustie or something, and he got in the wrong side of the rain and the storms and everything else.
okay.
But you've got a situation now. Who's gonna drive this? Rahm just went to Live. Rahm's a hell of a player. He's not going to drive any numbers in Live because they haven't got any numbers. So we're sitting there. We're taking a product that it's been fractured, and I got to assume that the sponsors, all the sponsors across the line who've gotten this media contract for what was it, $5 billion, I think it's $736 million a year to the tour through a contract from 22 to 2030. They've got to be asking themselves, oh, wait a minute, hold it. Well, we got in this deal. We negotiated. We were going to have rights to try to get Koepka and those guys. There was no such thing as Live when we did this. When we did this contract.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question now. Let's forget about golf. You go to a Ford dealership and you look around and you order a car that you really like, and you sign a contract and you pay for it. And then they deliver you a car, and the car's got 3 wheels. Not the one you looked at that had 4 wheels. It's got 3 wheels. Now what do you do with your contract?
I sue them.
It wasn't the car you thought you were buying.
Right.
And that's what's happening on the PGA Tour and the world of golf. It has to end at some point in time.
It has to end with the sponsors, and I've talked to a couple of tournament directors that their sponsors are getting really iffy with what's going on. The good thing is it's only 2024 now, and we've got 6 more years on that contract.
Wow. I don't know that we have 6 more years
Well,
on that
they might
contract.
not. I mean, they could. There's so many different things that, again, we talk about the same thing. The perfect example is Honda. You're Honda.
Yeah.
Okay, in Florida, all of a sudden they put a designated event
Before and after.
before. Wait a minute, when we negotiated the contract, there was no such thing as a designated event.
And not only are you not going to get live players,
you're not going to get anybody.
No.
And then they put one after Honda. Well, what's Honda do? I'm out. See ya. You can't. Again, the relationship that the tour has had with their sponsors has always been iffy. Tour has been very much a bully in this whole thing, and
You know what that is?
twisting
that's
their
the,
arm.
That's the tour twisting the arms
Yeah.
of sponsors, strong arming them and telling them, this is it, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. We're
Yeah.
the only game in town. Well, they're not the only game in town anymore. So this whole thing is going to get interruptive by all facets. I mean, we've seen a little bit now, even with the tour. What's the tour doing? We've got 26 guys that just signed a letter to the commissioner, and these guys are all from 111th on the money list to infinity out there. The guys that are kind of playing on Mondays and all doing all their part of the tour, they're going, wait a minute, we want representation here. So all the way down the line, this whole thing is getting fractured. And I really, I don't know how I got on this rant, but it's getting fractured in every asset that the tour has. And it doesn't seem like the tour is getting everybody together and to figure this whole thing out as a unit. You know, and I'm talking about a unit, I'm talking about LIV, I'm talking about DP Tour, I'm talking about the South American Tour, the Canadian, all of these tours got to get together and go, okay, hold it. We can't be sending guys out here and having tournaments against each other and everything. We've got to take our product, that you were talking earlier, that golf is a third page sport. It's not a first page sport. Tiger got us on the first page, but we're third page. Okay, we'll go through basketball, baseball, and then we'll go, and then golf there's on the third page. So we don't have that prominence in the business that we can garner all of these things. So boy, you better pay attention to your product, and you better act as a unit and not as an individual.
You know, we started this whole conversation on sponsorships with Tiger and Nike and whatever. And when you look, I think the sponsorships is where this is all going to force the parties to come together and figure something out, because you lost Honda, you lost Wells Fargo, you're going to lose Farmers. You know, these big sponsors. I'm hearing RBC maybe is you know, putting the Heisman on continuing their contract talks. So those sponsorships are huge to the tour, obviously.
Yep.
Players have sponsorships, and for the most part, and you may disagree, but for the most part, they're performance-based sponsorships, and the performance was measured by official World Golf Rankings, which now mean squat. They're useless.
Zero, right?
They don't mean anything. So now how do the players get paid when they're not even getting world ranking points, and they signed a contract that said their money is going to be based on world ranking points that they accumulate in any given year? So this whole thing is chaotic. It's all messed up, and we have to figure out a way around it. And you know, I think you hit on it. It's going to be sponsorship money that's going to drive a resolution to this whole thing.
The resolution in that deal is, okay, every tour, have your own world ranking points. Every tour. Okay, DP Tour, you got your own. They put a criteria up, and they put these guys in a world ranking. PGA Tour does it, LIV does it, Canadian Tour does it, Asian Tour does it, and you got all these. That's where it's going to go.
Then somebody
these
weights
other
them.
guys, I'll guarantee you, LIV's going to start their own world ranking deal.
Something's got to happen.
Got to happen.
You can't have. I'm going to forget some. John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka,
Cameron,
Bryson
you
DeChambeau,
got Cameron Smith, Bryson. You can't have these players ranked 212th in the official world rankings and have the official world rankings mean anything. It's not real.
Yeah, something has to be done. The one kind of team event that hasn't been that compelling, obviously the Ryder Cup has been, but do you think that they'll go in there and maybe say, okay, President's Cup, out. The President's Cup's now going to be LIV versus the PGA Tour guys. That might be some TV that you'd want to watch. But now they're all going to be.
The Tour's not going to get rid of that because the Tour owns it.
Yeah.
So you want revenue, just like PGA of America owns the Ryder Cup. They're going to get rid of that.
No.
That creates an enormous amount of revenue. So again, It is just greed. It's who has got the money, who's stirring the pot. Well, we know that Liv's got the money. We're trying to stir the pot, but we let ours. I think I saw $1 billion or something the tour's worth, and their PIF is worth $270 billion. Who's going to win that war?
Oh yes, 700 billion, making almost $1 billion every day.
It's just
on all their oil.
So that we've got to, again, we go back to this thing. We got to start over. We got to start with unity in the golf world and take all of our fractured assets, put them together in one lump, and then go sell that product. Not diversify this thing to the point that you've got 2,700 different tours and 4 guys playing each one. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. It's getting interesting. Another thing that's interesting, by the way, is, and I've been asking some questions on this. As you know, I think it's a senator or a congressman in Florida that's now trying to take away in Congress the 501c6,
Yep.
the tour, which the tour operates as a 501c6, which is a charitable organization. Basically, the tour is the umbrella, and then underneath it are all the sponsors who actually do all the work, and they're the ones that put up the purses. They're the ones that run the tournaments, cater to the players' needs, everything. They're the guys that do it. Well, one of the deals is they have to pay 1,800 volunteers, 15 to 1,800 volunteers. And they don't pay them. They volunteer for the community because the community is getting money back in. That's how this whole process works. But if the tour gets rid of their 501c6, all of a sudden that whole dynamic changes. And now the tour is a for-profit organization. And I think it would have to end up being that it would be like the NFL, where you own a franchise. So we're here in Scottsdale, so the Phoenix Open, the Thunderbirds would own that and this is how it works. So they own it.
Every major sporting group except the PGA Tour, over time, has lost their charitable status.
Right.
To the government.
Including the NFL.
NFL,
yes.
Major League Baseball, NBA.
Yep.
They've all lost it.
Yeah.
So if this comes to be, I don't see any way that the PGA Tour can maintain theirs. That's a hit to the pension plan.
Well, kind of on that subject, you guys were talking about in our last episode, chaos in golf. So much chaos going on. Of course, the LIV PGA Tour, what we talked about today, being one of them with sponsors and everything. So one question, to get closer to unity, to get closer to a better product to watch, would you fire Jay Monahan? Is that going to help settle this thing?
Well, from the tour's perspective and from the people, remember, the PGA Tour is the players' organization. And
that's a bullshit line.
Well, it is.
Come
it's
on.
a players' organization run by business guys and a commissioner.
It's a players' organization in which the players have absolutely no say-so.
Well, they want say-so now.
Okay,
They
fine.
want say-so now. So the say-so is that you can see what's going on now. The tour used to have four player representatives that were voted. Okay, now they've got 5, meaning that they have now control of the board because there's only 4 independent business directors, of which one is already withdrawn his name from the whole thing and resigned, Randall Stevenson, and now they got 3 left. They've hired another guy, and I know a couple of the guys that are in there don't want to be in that mess right now.
Yeah.
And everybody knows they're in a mess. So we're in this negotiation, and the players, I don't think, have, all the way down the line, I don't think they have any faith in Jay Monahan because of his juxtapositioning through this whole thing.
Flip-flop?
Flip-flop,
Okay.
that if I was a player and I was on the board once, I would have to take a look at the administration and say, God, what are you doing, guys? You're doing things clandestine. This is supposed to be a board action. You invite everybody in to have an opinion, everything else. There's a player advisory board that helps them. Well, as we've seen this last deal, in the middle of the night, we have a player business director going out negotiating under the guise of, I'm not telling anybody about this, not even the 4 player directors, and they're negotiating this huge deal that didn't come about. And if I'm on the tour, one of the guys that's in the back of the bus, that they just signed this deal that we want more representation. Oh, there's signs here of a giant upheaval of the tour, and you get the tour back into the hands of the players, where they can, if they're going to fail, at least they'll fail with themselves and in the driver's seat. I don't think they like what's going. I know they don't like what's going on.
Well, but okay, I'm going to use a little bit of a different analogy, probably ending up in the same place. But if you go back and you you look at some of the great coaches that we've had over the years, you know, whether it's John Wooden, Red Auerbach, you've got Woody Hayes at Ohio State, you got Bobby Knight, you got a bunch of phenomenal coaches back in that time, and they could get away with what they were doing as coaches because of the time they were in. They could not coach like that today. They would get thrown in jail. You grab somebody by the helmet and start shaking their head, or you reach out and knock a kid over when he's running down the sidelines, you're going to get fired.
Throw a chair across a bit.
Yeah, whatever. Throw a chair across. Yeah, okay, so the tour has continued to operate like Woody Hayes and Bobby Knight and all these old coaches. They haven't changed with the times. They've run their ship with an iron fist since the get-go, and they have failed to recognize that times have changed. And not only have times changed in terms of the players and how they need to be treated, but it's the competition that the world provides. And they completely whiffed the Saudis coming to start their golf league. They didn't think that was serious. They whiffed that. Now you can't, and then the flip side is, you don't want the inmates running the asylum. The players can't run the tour. That's not possible, because they're all they're going to care about is themselves. Right. So you've got to come to a compromise. Your question started with, do you fire Jay Monahan? Yeah. In an ideal world, yes, if you can replace him with somebody that's better. Question is, are you better with the devil that you know, or the person that comes along, the devil that you don't know, right? Yeah. Personally, I think Monahan is largely responsible for the chaos that we're in because of his initial reaction. I've stated it over and over again. Making this a moral argument and pitting people against other and making the vitriol and the anger, go through the roof, I think was horrendously wrong. And I have no confidence in him moving forward, but I don't have to have confidence in him. I'm not a tour player, right? Yeah, right. So you got to look at all the examples. I do think, though, that something has to happen atop the leaderboard of golf, with the 6 families or whatever it is that run the game, because I think it's not headed in a good direction right now.
Well, we're all holding a good thought. It's going to be headed more in a good direction. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Gary, for this topic. Don't go away. When we come back on Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers,
Peter is going to give us a great tip that's going to make you a better ball striker.
From Terra Vita Country Club, we'll be right back with more Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers.
Strokes gain stats are finally easy with the most 5-star rated golf app in the country. Swing U accurately and objectively provides feedback across driving, approach shots, chipping and pitching, bunker play, and putting. Easily identify your strengths and weaknesses, and laser focus your practice time so you can quickly shave strokes off your score. Download Swing U and start owning your game today.
Imagine a putter that will actually transform your game. Introducing Lab Golf Putters. The revealer shows how the Lab keeps the putter face square through impact unlike any other putter. Lab is the hottest putter in professional golf with multiple global victories in 2023, including the PGA Tour. Lab breaks the mold with better science so you can stop struggling with your putting. Elevate your game, simplify your putting, and untorque yourself. Visit labgolf.com to discover how Lab putters are remaking the game.
Bono's Pit Barbecue, an authentic Southern Pit barbecue experience you won't forget. At Bono's, you'll find a genuine down-home pit barbecue experience. Our entire menu is smoked and prepared in-house, from our mouth-watering smoked meats to our delicious sides made from scratch. And our smoker is always smoking. And everything's to order, no shortcuts. With 20 locations across the country, from Sunshine State of Florida to the Rocky Mountains where I live, Bono's culture is unmistakable at each of our restaurants. We offer incredible opportunities for franchises. To find out more, visit our website, bonosbarbecue.com/franchise. And remember, if you don't have a pit, it ain't legit.
Visit our website, KostisMcCord.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or podcast, and follow us on social media at Kostis McCord Off Their Rockers. Now it's time for Coach Kostis. Peter gives us some great tips to help our games.
Once you get fairly accomplished at golf, you're going to want to be able to move the ball both ways. This is my setup for practicing how to hit the ball left to right, right to left, or straight. It just gives me a great sense for where I'm set up, where my swing path is going, what I'm going to be doing with the releasing of my club head. So I've got a target line here, and I've got maybe 3-4 yards in front. I've got a stick lightly in the ground on my target line. So I'm going to get a sense now of what I've got to do if I want to cut this ball. I'm not going to be aiming over here because it's going to make it damn near impossible for me to start it left of that stick. So I'm going to get wherever I have to get to at address to feel like I can start this left of that stick. Once I feel like, yeah, I can start it left of that stick, now I can match the club face to that path, and eventually you learn what it's like to hit a cut, starting left, going right. The opposite is true if I want to hit a draw. I'm not going to set up over here trying to hit a draw. It's really difficult to make the club go out to the right. So I'll aim a little bit more right, maybe put the ball back a little bit. Now I feel like I can start this out to the right, and I'll go ahead and release the club head. If you want to learn to hit draws and fades, you have to do it from a controlled environment. That's where I see a lot of people going wrong in their practice. Put down the sticks. Learn what it's like to aim correctly for a 10-yard draw. Learn what it's like to aim correctly for a 10-yard fade. Trust me, it'll help you on the golf course. When you got to miss that water on the left, you'll be able to aim it just outside the water and cut it away from the water or draw it, whatever the issue may be. But you can't do it if you don't practice consistently and correctly. That's why I have this setup.
Always love hearing the thoughts of Peter and Gary. Thanks so much for watching this show, and thanks so much for our sponsors.
Swing U and the Swing U app, the best app in golf. Go to swingu.com and use promo code ROCKERS2024 to get 40% off your first year of Swing U Plus or Pro. Foresight Sports and their amazing launch monitors. The Quad Pro is #1 on the PGA Tour, and their incredible simulators. Peter's got one at his home, and it is awesome. Lab Golf and their tour-winning Lab putters. Grayson Murray just won the 2024 Sony in Hawaii with the Lab Golf Link 1. For more information, go to labgolf.com. And Bono's Barbecue. With the smoked meats, sauces, and amazing franchise opportunities, go to bonosbarbecue.com/franchise.
Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Share it with all your golf buddies if you're enjoying the show, and hit that notification button so you never miss an episode of Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers. We'll be back very soon with another episode. Peter and Gary talking about the all-exempt tour, the rookies on the PGA Tour, what in the heck's going to happen in the world of golf, and more great instruction from Peter Kostis. So for Peter, for Gary, I'm Mike Abram. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you real soon.